Vayeshlach? No. Vayeshev. A very, very interesting parasha. Very interesting parasha. There's really a lot of stuff to talk about. I want to talk a little bit about Yosef, basically. Not really the interaction between him and the brothers that I usually go through, and so on and so forth. I'll do something a little bit different. Even though he's not one of my most popular characters in the Torah, he does it, but not mine. Still, there's of course a lot to learn. There's a lot to learn. I just want to point something to you before we start about this parasha. First of all, this shiur is for the merit and success of our dear friend Rachel Chaya Bat Sarah, and to the refuah shlema of the child Zechariah Shmuel Ben Sarah. We should have a refuah shlema. Now, we have in this week's parasha 3 times it says Vayered, going down, whether it's Yaakov going to Egypt, whether it's whether it's Yosef going into the pit, and whether they put it. We need to understand that this is basically the first time that the Jews have an interaction, an overwhelming interaction, with an external society the way they had it in Egypt. As it turned out to be, it wasn't such a great experiment. We walked out of Haran to walk straight into Egypt, basically, and it's not necessarily a good thing. Hopefully, throughout the weeks, we'll be able to maybe touch this point and to try to prevent the ongoing damage that we have due to this ongoing culturally assault on ourselves and our culture and our way of life. Because if we're not going to pay attention, it's gonna be bad. However, if we're going to look at the main character of this week's parasha, of course it's Yosef. And Yosef is being portrayed as the ultimate success story out there. Whatever he touches, he succeeds, and so on and so forth, regardless of his difficulties and the deterioration in relationships that he has with his fathers, with his parents, with his siblings, after the selling him, or they call it the kidnap, or the abduction of Yosef by his brothers, selling him to Mitzrayim, as we say, Yerida, going down to Mitzrayim. Going down is not most of the time, we should say never, but most of the time it's not a good thing. Whether it was slavery, whether it was going to jail, his prolonged distance and disconnect that he has from his family, and it's not something so easy. Sometimes it's not so bad, I'll tell you the truth. Sometimes it's not so bad to simply pack your stuff and disconnect yourself from your family and go to a new land and a new territory and to start free, to start new. And in this case, though, it was involuntary. He didn't want to do it, but it was a very difficult thing for him. He was very young. We're talking about a 17-year-old kid. It's not an easy thing to go through all this ordeal. The Torah says and makes a statement. It says, "Vayihi Hashem et Yosef," and God was with Yosef. Vayihi ish matzliach, and he was a very successful man. Thank you. V'chol asher hu oseh, and everything that he does, Hashem matzliach biyado. Everything he does becomes a success story. That's a tremendous thing. It's a tremendous thing. So therefore, since we all want to be successful, and I really wanted to do in the morning about how we, a small lecture, a small shiur, how we actually prevent our kids to be successful. We'll save it for next week. Well, let's talk about Yosef. What's the secret of Yosef? What is it that Yosef is doing that he becomes so successful, and how could we apply this to our lives? So in Perek Mem Aleph, chapter 41, 39 and 41 over there, in the Psukim, Perek Mem Aleph 41, and it says, with the nomination that he gets to become a director for treasury, he's the minister of treasury, it says, Vayomer Paro El Yosef. When Paro said to Yosef, Achar hodia Elohim otcha et kol zot, en navon v'chacham kamocha. After we see your connection that you have with God, we realize that there's nobody as wise and as smart as you. Ata, you, tiyeh al beiti, you're going to be in charge of, my palace. Ve'al picha ishak kol ami. And according to whatever you say, everybody will do what you say. Rak hakiseh egedal mimach. Okay, without getting into what the kiseh is, in other words, just the only thing that is going to prevent you from becoming the absolute ruler of Egypt is the throne in which, of course, me, Paro, I'm sitting on it, but everybody else is beneath you. I'm going to be the only one over you. ויאמר פרעה אל יוסף, ראה נתתי אותך על כל ארץ מצרים, and so on and so forth. He made him the ruler of Egypt. So from these words that the Torah tells us on the name of Paro, it's clear that Yosef was talented in an unbelievable way, in a very unique and unbelievable way. Again, we're talking about a young lad to be at that age. Okay, so you add the 2 years that he was in Egypt and the whole okay, well, what are we talking about? A 20-year-old kid? We're not talking about some Goethe from Sweden who's talking about climate and stuff like this, yelling like Nancy Pelosi, Talking about the guy who's like, imagine running the economy of the United States given to a 20-year-old kid. And those talents really started to surface up from the moment that he reached the house of Potiphar. Those talents he could not bring about to the surface at the house of his father. I told you, sometimes it's good to disconnect from daddy. But since he was very young, and also because of his relationship with his siblings towards him, he couldn't bring it up. In the house of Potiphar, he's all empty. He's free from that. And really he was the administrative superintendent of his house, of Potiphar's house. He ran the show there. And however, you have to understand that even if you have them, those talents in you, you need to have, for example, a very dynamic character. You can't be a person who sets up his alarm clock and then turns it off and goes back to sleep. You have to be very dynamic about these things. You have to be a person that is always constantly moving. By the way, you can have something to eat. Constantly moving to take an initiative to make things, not to sit down, waiting for your yeast to grow up and becoming a couch potato. Nothing happens when you sit down and do absolutely nothing. They're always going to be moving. So Potiphar recognized that and handed over the running of his household to him, to Yosef. And that requires a lot of maturity. This job requires a lot of maturity, tremendous responsibility, and it's very difficult to develop the sense of responsibility when you are sheltered. In order to develop responsibility, you basically need to be thrown out there. I can tell you this in first account. And things that I had to do when I was 19 years old, now that I'm thinking about, and I'm saying, God, how did I do this? I mean, it was like, today I will be afraid to do the magnitude of the things I was doing, not in terms of risk, in terms of responsibility that was given to a 19-year-old kid. I don't know. I mean, it's beyond me. But you need to be thrown out there, and you do it. But when mommy and daddy shelter you all the time, it's a problem. For example, if you would go on a trip on your own, you'll develop, you will grow. But if you go with grandma and grandpa to some trip over there to bar mitzvah or some, nose-drooling guy in Yehovahsville, you're going to stay a big buffoon. And that goes to everything that you do in life. I mean, at a certain point, I'm not saying disconnect from your family, but, sometimes you will have to do that. Otherwise, life will eat you alive. You need to understand that at a certain age, you don't take part of all these family get-togethers and, bar mitzvahs and breaks and parties and so on. That's it. It's enough. Or family vacations. My family never went on vacation. That's why I never took a family vacation. But finally, when my parents went on vacation, I said, you go, stay home. I'm not going with you. There's no such thing as family vacations. I mean, right? There's a certain limit to everything. And you're never going to be able to bring about your talents and everything. Phone's off. Now, let's not forget that when he got to the house of Potiphar, he was a lad, he was a kid, and also he had a tremendous intuition. He knew exactly what to do. He had an intuition. It's called Binah, intuition. He also has somewhat of a prophecy ability to it, to be able to interpret dreams on a certain levels and so on and so forth. And of course, those things happened, became true according to the way he solved those dreams. However, when he told his dreams to his brothers, he almost died. Look at this way. He had these dreams to his brothers, but because that's the interaction between siblings. You therefore, again, here's another proof that you need to grow up, and you can't, listen, you can't hold on to mommy's apron. It's enough. You're a big boy already. And again, as long as you'll be at home, attached when you shouldn't be, you're not going to develop responsibilities. And even if you have talents, those talents are not going to surface out. You could be the most talented guy in the world and doing whatever it is that you're doing. But those talents would not be able ever to materialize because of the dynamics at home. You have it from Yosef. This is not some kind of an agenda that I have. That's Yosef. The Torah says that. So let's see now a little bit more specific, certain traits, personality traits, and abilities that Yosef had in order to be successful. And I am going to start with what I thought was the most important thing. Yosef knew how to dream. He allowed to dream. When we are kids, you're allowed to dream, but very much so immediately, as soon as you're able to dream, comes to you your aunt from your neighbor's side, fifth marriage, removed, and tells you, you can't do that. So you have to be practical. Yosef knew how to dream. He wasn't tied to the daily routine, that gray, bitter, choking routine that puts you down into the murk, into the mud, into the swamp. Dreaming, he was out. He was very much connected to himself and loyal to himself and his dreams. It's very important. Remember, I asked some of you many times, what is it that you want to do? Not what your mommy wants to do, wants you to do, or your daddy wants you to do. What do you want to do? He sees his potential. He sees the potential of his life. He sees his life ahead of him. He has an ambition to go further, to go ahead. He knows where he wants to be. He's those dreams. He's what we call Baal HaChalomot. He's the man of dreams. He is Baal, Milshon Baalut, ownership. He's the owner of his own dreams. Ba'al HaChalomot, he's the owner of his own dreams. He's the master of his ambitions, and he's the master of his own life vision of what he wants. Not what society wanted him to be, or his father, or his mother, or anybody else there. He was the owner of his dreams. If daddy wants you to do something, well, tell him, Dad, with all due respect, why don't you do it? It's my dream. If daddy wants you to become a doctor, or mommy wants you to become a doctor, or your aunt wants you to become a doctor, and you want to be a landscaper, so be a landscaper, for crying out loud. What's wrong with that? If you work in dignity, and we'll see for later on, there's no job that you should be embarrassed doing it if you're doing so be'emunah, you're doing it in an honest way. Nothing, no job. You could be a rotor-rooter emergency cleaning if you do your job be'emunah, with honesty, much more dignified than to be a brain surgeon that is crooked, that sees his patients as potentials for his bank account. What gives you dignity in your job is not the title, it's how you do it. Another trait of Yosef, he's very stubborn. And as much as the Torah says, Aviv yada lishmor et hadavar, he knew how to keep this. Yosef took this shmirah and he guards, lishmor is to guard, he guards his dreams, and he does not get confused and sidetracked from this biting reality that always tries to grab another part of you. Very important. He has a great vision of himself, and again, he has very clear goals and targets. He knows exactly what he wants to be, and he's therefore dedicated to them. He's attached to them without any consideration for the price that he would pay or the time that will pass on to get his goal. If that's what you want to do, well, you do it. That's why today, I don't think there are so many artists, because we don't teach our kids that. Everything has to be with a profit. But you cannot be an artist if all you care about is money. There's no lishma for the sake of it. And as by this story, Chazal, for example, in Masechet Barachot, Daf Nun Hey Amud Beit, learn like this: Le'olam yetzapeh adam lechalom tov ad chav bet shana. If you had a good dream that somebody interpreted to you and it was a good sign for you, don't wait for it or don't expect for it immediately to happen. You could hold on to this dream up until 22 years from the time you dreamt it. Don't give up on your dreams. Don't give up on your dreams. When you give up on your dreams, you give up on your life. Another trait of Yosef, he shares his success with others. He doesn't keep the success only to himself, but he has the ability to influence and to share it with other people. Ask Potiphar, ask Paro, ask Egypt, and so on and so forth. And as they say, what did they say? The million Egyptians couldn't be wrong. There were a lot of people in Egypt. He shares it. He didn't say, "Oh, give it all to me." He could have finagled some kind of a Bernie Madoff scam or something like this and leave Paro all empty. He shared it with others. So you want to be successful, learn to share with others your success. And your sharing could be many things. Never say a thing like this: well, you know what do I get out of it? Especially when it comes to Torah. Because the person who's teaching you, he's sharing his success story with you. And why are you sharing with him? A fagel? What are you sharing with him? Nothing? Share, learn to share. Bring to others. Kadosh Baruch Hu gave you, learn to share with others. Of course, you're becoming a vehicle for more room to give, because then you're the tzino, you're the kli of shefa. But that's a different story. Another thing with Yosef, He's ready for every task ahead of him. He doesn't say, I'm tired now, Rabbi, please, I don't feel like it. I have vacation now, I can't, I have semester off. I don't have time, no, Dafka, now we need you. He's ready for any task that is ahead of him, that is given to him. Even if it's to go to herd the cattle with his brothers. His brothers will listen. Do I need to tell you who are the Shvatim? The two guys are like they were more than Navy SEALs. He takes like a whole team of Navy SEALs with helicopters and sitcom and Obama sitting like this and Hillary sitting like that. Doing all these things. Satellites to take one Osama bin Laden. These two guys went in, wiped out the whole entire town. Okay? And his father says to him, go. He says, okay, here I am. On the road again. Up on the stage. Right? He says, Potiphar says, okay, I'm going to make you in charge here, a lot of responsibilities. He says, sure, not a problem. You want to be the assistant for the jail? Sure, not a problem, I'll do it. Why not? The second to the king? Hey, bring it on, brother. It's not a problem. He doesn't know, let me think about it, Efshar, I don't know, let me ask my wife, let me ask this, let me ask that. You want me to do something? Yeah, I'll do it, not a problem. That's, by the way, how you get ahead. In organizations like an army or places like this, somebody give you something, go ahead and do it. Then they mark you, this guy's good. Usually these are the people who they take out and they push on. A person with an attitude that doesn't want to do something is not capable of becoming a leader. So if you ask somebody, he's like, start scratching about it, say, this guy is a loser. I don't want it. If somebody else wants to do it, okay, me, okay, fine. That's your leader. That's, by the way, how you're going to identify your next leaders. If they kvetch him, they're lazy, they want to do something, stay away from them. It's like I don't know what, like bad medicine. It's more contagious than STDs. I'm telling you, it's horrific. Stay away from people like this. Laziness is a contagious disease. Stay away from it. Stay away from it. It's very bad. You want to do something? Sure, here, yeah. You done? You want to heat up? Sure. I'll do it, no problem. Took care of everything. That's what I'm talking about. Stuff like that. Yeah, Shlomo also. Yes, took pictures. All right, that's what we're talking about. That's called leadership. You're going to have this attitude at your work. You're not going to say, excuse me, sir, this is not my job. I can't do this. It's not my job title. It's not your job title. You're right. You have no title. Out. Sure, not a problem. I'll do it. That's how you go ahead. Yosef knows how to roll. He knows how to adopt. And especially he knows how to, when he's thrown, to fall on his feet and hit the ground and he starts running. He always falls down. In other words, he knows his center of gravity this way. He tries also with all his might, with all his power, and it doesn't make a difference what's the situation or where he is. He's always trying as hard as he can. He gives everything 120% of what he's got. It's like, I'm tired today, man, it's like 15 degrees outside. It's cold. I came like this. I got to Yeshiva not to learn. No. And when he's Yeshiva, he's learning. All his koach. Everything that he's got. Not like, I have a headache today. I don't feel good. He's trying. Everything that he does. Everything you do, give it all you got. Give it all you got. That's what makes stars into superstars. That's what makes people stars altogether. Everything you do with all your koach. In all situation, any situation. No more, no less. Give it everything you have. Without complaining, without whining, with tremendous dedication. And by doing so, you always surface up above all. People notice that. And this is how you build your success, right? There's a book about this if you want to look at it. It's called The Natural Leader or something like this. Look into that. It's interesting. Yosef also is a success story because his ability to help other people connect to their dreams. Not only is connected to his dream, he's allowing and he lets other people, provide them with the tools to fulfill the dreams. First of all, to acknowledge that they have a dream. And then slowly he teaches them how to actually dare to try to live their dreams out. he listens to people all the time. In order to do so, you need the ability to listen to people, to hear the suffering, to hear the cry. You have a bad dream, come to Yosef, he'll solve it out for you, not a problem, right? All these people, who was his best customers? All the top echelon of Paro, right? Whether it was Potiphar or it was Paro, they all took his services, right? Dreams Incorporated. Another thing for Yosef, he is a tzaddik, he's a righteous man. He's a very, very righteous, straightforward person, completely loyal to his values, completely loyal to his roots. Unfortunately, for her at least, the wife of Potiphar can tell you whole stories of how righteous Yosef was. And he would not do it. He would just not do it. Why? Because he says, I'm a Jew, I'm my son, I'm a son of Yaakov Avinu. You know who my grandfather was? Avraham Avinu. I cannot do these things, I'm sorry. You're beautiful. Homie, don't do that. Can't do this. He was a very honest, loyal person. And loyalty is not only to your wife or to your husband. Loyalty is to your principles. Loyalty is to who you are. Loyalty to your nation. How about loyalty to your nation? We today, to be loyal to your nation is considered to be horrific. It's like almost pornographic to say something like that. Yes, you should be loyal to your nation, to your people. And that's the bottom line, not to your football team. Yosef also understands that everything that happens is for the best. Everything is for the best. Yes, you have to admit, his brothers caused him a lot of problems, a lot of headaches. Begin to want to kill him, then they throw him to the pit, and then they sold him. He doesn't hold a grudge. It's a waste of time to hold a grudge. It's a waste of energy to hold a grudge. You can get rid of these people you hold a grudge because that hatred is like fire. You merge with each other. You solder to one another with that hatred, with the fire of hatred. So, but he doesn't hold a grudge to anybody. It's a waste of time for him. It's a waste of effort. And we know that because he says, Atem chashavtem alay ra'a. You wanted to do something bad to me. Elokim chashava letovah. God did the right thing. Don't worry about it. I can see it's for the best. Don't worry about it. Don't lose sleep over this. That's the way he sees the world. In other words, you can't be a successful person being a negative person. I mean, don't be an idiot. If bad things happen, bad things happen. Right? If the sky is falling, the sky is falling. Being a very nice Stevie Ray Vaughan song, but but don't make a drama out of everything. Not everything is a Korean or Spanish soap opera. Like everybody's dying everywhere, everybody's killing everywhere. Just it is what it is. No, ma efshar lasot. If you're a negative person, nothing would move. Negativity will anchor you down, will not allow you to grow. You have to be a positive person. A positive person. You see things, don't worry. So we didn't work out, don't worry, we'll succeed, and then we'll try it next time. Not a problem. Try it next time. Let's try it next time. Try it next time. And then you get something. It's amazing. I saw a guy who was trying to make a certain jewelry, cast a certain jewelry. So he was making I'll get into the process of making a wax mold out of that, a figure out of it, and he has to carve it. Because it was all carving like this. And then he puts it in the canister and he pours the thing, and he did it 4 times. And 4 times it went bad. He says, okay, I'm going to hold my cool. Let me see exactly what happens. He started watching the videos and realized the problem. He fixed it up. The stuff that I saw, I said, wow, that's amazing. Well, that's what makes a person a successful artist. So he didn't succeed. Okay, so no, not a problem. Picasso didn't create the Mona Lisa. No, it wasn't him. But it wasn't overnight. There was a lot of efforts and tries and rip papers and so on and so forth. The same thing here. So things don't work because it don't work. Don't hold yourself so high. That everything has to work. You're not Melech Malkei Hamlachim. Even HaKadosh Baruch Hu allows us to do what we want against His will. Right? So we have to learn from that. He respect his siblings. They came from the maids, Zilpah and who? Huh? Bilha. Right? He respected them. He didn't say, "Oh, guys, shut up. You're secondaries over there. We are the primary children. You're secondary." He didn't say those things. He gave him clothing, so they won't be embarrassed, because they weren't treated as the children of the mistress of the maid of the master of the house. They were the children of the mistress. Okay, they weren't superior in the hierarchy. So he gave them clothing. And when the brothers went to Egypt, right, he took from one side of Egypt to the other side of Egypt, right? Why? So Bnei Israel, he kept on moving them, so Bnei Israel would not be embarrassed. He put them in Goshen, they won't be embarrassed, they don't have a nachala. It's a disgrace that Am Yisrael doesn't have a nachala. And in this point, I'm going to tell you something. One of the ways of the nations of the world to humiliate the Jews is to deny their right to a homeland. So don't be so eager to give it away if you have any kind of self-respect. When his brothers came to visit him, I mean, they were capable of wiping the floor with him. They were giants. He still said he wasn't afraid. He says, "Okay, you guys go out. I give them the benefit of that. They're my brothers. They're not gonna. I know who they are. Don't worry about it, right?" He was a very humble person. We might think he's not, but he's a very humble person. Chazal in Shmot Rabbah said the following: "Af al pi shezacha Yosef lemalchut," even though Yosef was able to be basically the ruler of Egypt, lo nitga'a alechav v'chol beit aviv. He didn't hold himself to high esteem over his family and his father's household. וכשם שהיה קטן בעיניו מתחילה, right? שהיה עבד במצרים, כך היה קטן בעיניו אחרי שמלך. He held that he is a very small pashut of a person. When he was sold, as a slave, he held the same attitude. He didn't say, "Oh, now I'm a king. Now let me take, it's good to be the king," if you know what I mean, right? He had the same attitude of a very humble, down-to-earth person also when he was a king. It's a very difficult thing to do. It's a tremendous test. To stay a humble and simple person when you get such power. I mean, the first thing that they do when people become ministers or prime ministers or presidents is get themselves a huge car and a limo and so on and so forth. Very few people says, "No, this is taxpayer money," or go on vacations like certain presidents used to go on vacations more than they were in the White House. This is taxpayers' money. I can't do this. So it takes a lot of a person to realize that. So in one hand, he is always in action and is not afraid to be in the center of action. He's not afraid. Whatever is there, you find Yosef there doing scheming, doing things like this. But on the other hand, he doesn't give himself too much credit. In other words, he doesn't have low self-esteem, but he's very humble. To reach this balance of understanding that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave you the abilities to do things, and things work the way you want them to work, and to stay humble, that takes a master. Another one like this, by the way, is Moshe Rabbeinu, that brought it to perfection. Moses brought it to perfection. He was better than anybody else in terms of leadership. Right? And it says, Biladei Elohim Yaneh et Shalom Paro. It says, not me. Kadosh Baruch Hu is doing that. You can say, "Yes, Paro, I'm the expert, I'm the one and only, hear me, It says, no, it's not me. It's God does everything. God does everything. He sees himself as a vehicle, as an instrument, as a kli in which the shefa, the abundance that comes from God, goes to the world. He doesn't see himself as the reason why the shefa comes. In other words, he sees himself as a servant, both to God and to the people, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu that picks him up as the vessel. Through him it goes, not because of him. He's just there to serve. How many people they'll go up to the heads? We always think about Yosef as being a very arrogant person, like this model going like this with his hair all the time. I don't know, whatever he was doing, rolls in his hair. I don't know what he was doing there. Perm, I don't know whatever he was doing. We never look at Yosef this way, being a very humble person. It's amazing, right? And because of that, Shem Shamayim Tamid Shagur Befiv. The name of Hashem is always in his mouth. And that's what Rashi says on the Pasuk, Vayare Adonav Ki Hashem Ito. He emphasizes the fact that he's a kli only to bring the Shefa from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, not because of him as a person. I brought this all about. He could have said, hey, me, Yosef, look at what I did. Look, Daddy, look at what I did. Look, guys, everybody, I'm so smart. I'm so great. I'm the best. I'm the one and only. It wasn't me. It was Hashem did it to me. I was just opening my mouth. Everything is from Hashem. Very, very humble person that does not pretend to be humble, is truthfully humble. And also he recognizes that everything is from Hashem. Yosef also is a workhorse. He's a hard worker. In other words, when he says, I have a dream, for Yosef means, all right, let's roll the sleeves and let's be very stubborn and doing what we need to do because this dream needs to be fulfilled. I'm willing to do. I have a dream means let's get to work. Let's roll, as they say. And that's going to be a very long and continuous work, and I don't really care. He doesn't sit down. This is fascinating to me. If we go with a trend that is going to be Mashiach ben Yosef before Mashiach ben David, so here it is. Yosef is not sitting on his waiting for Mashiach to come. Yosef does whatever he can to become Mashiach. He fixes it. He fixes the world. He is the one who is fixing everything. He's bringing harmony to the world. He is the one. Like saying, okay, I want Mashiach to come. Oh, I want Mashiach to come, no problem. Go ahead and do it. What are you doing for it? Say, Yehi Adonenu, what are you doing at the end of it? He doesn't wait that reality will change and then all of a sudden Mashiach will come. He changes reality. He changes the odds against him. He changes even the rules of Egypt according to what he says, so his dream will come true. How many of you are willing to do that? Now, I'm mentioning those points one after the other as key success points. If you're not going to do them, you're not going to be successful. That's for sure, like most people. Now, we're almost done. He has also tremendous amount of luck, but not necessarily as we always thought. I think it was affiliated or associated to Thomas Jefferson, but then they say it wasn't him. But nevertheless, there's a statement. There's a very interesting statement that was said again in the name of Thomas Jefferson. It says, "I'm a great believer in luck, and I discovered that the harder I work, the more I have of it." Luck is a result of your effort, of your hard work, not something that you scratch on a lottery thing. And he doesn't really believe in Hashem. Really? I mean, kind of contradicting what I said before. But Yosef never uses the name Yud Kei Vav Kei, Shem Hashem, the tetragrammaton. He's always referred to it, to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to God, in the name Elokim. And that name Elokim always symbolizes to us how HaKadosh Baruch Hu operates through nature. In other words, Yosef is only interested in what I can change and whatever it was giving me to change. Whatever is in my abilities to change, with our powers. In other words, you understand? He's not interested in how does God interact in the world? How should I interact in God's world? That's Shem Elokim refers to. Whatever was giving me authority to change or to deal with, that's what I'm dealing with. Whatever is not mine, I'm not touching it. It's not my job. Like, for example, I told you many times, don't judge people. You're not the judge. God is the judge. Don't do his work because you can barely do your work. So why you want to do God's work? Don't judge. He understands that. You need to understand that Yosef understood it, and not for nothing, he sends his father, next parsha, he sends him the merkavot, those chariots with gifts that he filled. Why? Because for him, he is the merkava, he is the chariot, he is the frame of the divine abundance that comes through all of us. And because of that, God is with him. Because he made his case to be the best vehicle, the best platform to bring about the divine abundance to this world. And as you could see, that's exactly what happened in Egypt. So if I will have to summarize it very, very quickly, I'll tell you the following. Mamash, as they say, halacha lema'aseh, just practical. Get something. If you want to be successful like Yosef, that's what you need to do. Believe in your dreams, because your dreams come from your omek neshama, come from somewhere deep down inside that you are drawn to. Okay, they come from there. And you should work like there's no God. Don't sit there, in other words, you need to work hard. You should be stubborn. You should be an optimist. And you should be a believer to no end. Shabbat Shalom and Chanukah Sameach.